Welcome to the 5th round of my Blue-Red Krark Delver League. We're on the play again, so that's great. See what we find. A hand that's very good in the mirror. Otherwise, it's not that great. I think I'm gonna keep this. It's so good if we do find a cantrip, but it's not the kind that I like keeping. Just have to hope the lightning bolts are good and that we find a cantrip at some point. I'm just gonna run out the Misty here. Go from there. So it's kind of tough. Like I was thinking about playing the volcanic on turn 1 because we do want time so we can find a cantrip before we play the rest of our spells, but I don't think that's worth it to get wastelanded. Here I'm just gonna fetch first. We have nothing to protect it. If they have the stifle, they have it. But let's see, they might just be fetching protective. They might just have the stifle. And, here my hand is like super red, so if I get an island and they wasteland my second volcanic island, I'm out of red. I think it's worth it just to get a second volcanic island here. Means we're a bit more vulnerable in the long run, but it does mean that we're less vulnerable to the first wasteland. And they have a daze again, so this is the Delver mirror apparently. Well, that's what I would guess. Which means that our lightning bolts can be good. Of course, what we were hoping for. So what we have to do now is see if we can get use out of our Krark. So this is interesting. We can either Krark and try to hit on Ponder or Young Pyromancer and Ponder for sure. Because we don't have any protection, I would love to find a daze here. And then we get the option next turn to chain lightning first before we play the Krark. We want more value. On the other hand, doubling up on Ponder is probably the most valuable thing we can do, and we are lacking other land drops. So I am gonna go for this play. This just means I get more shots doubling up on Ponder, which I think is very valuable here. Like if we miss, we still have it in our hand. I can pair it with Young Pyromancer next turn. If we hit, great. They might be deciding the force of will here. Yeah, they are. Oh, that's fine. Now I'm gonna just fire off my Ponder here to use my mana. See if we can find more cantrips and stuff. So Flusterstorm could be good. Let's see. A bit of protection. But it doesn't really help on our next turn since they're gonna go to their third turn. Probably have bolt and 2 lands untapped. At one point we have the lightning bolt and Flusterstorm just to get that going. I don't think this is good enough. Where they have answers to their threats, and while I do like the land, I would rather have a cantrip. I think that was quite close though, since they were spells that can be good from that position. But yeah, I don't want defensive cards when I have a bunch of bolts in my hand. Here I'm just gonna run out my Young Pyromancer, hope it resolves, and then use my Chain Lightning before they have double red. I try to get to spots where I don't have to use lightning bolts on Delvers. But I have to. The chain lightning is gonna get worse at some point. I like doing it. So one thing I didn't consider before this turn is that they might be mono blue. They ran out 2 islands, which isn't enough to let us think that they do have it. Here I'm just gonna let the spell pierce resolve. We have another removal spell, and then we have a force of will, which I'd rather use as protection. If they are mono blue, it's pretty hard for them to outrace the Young Pyromancer, even with a Delver. So that's fine for me. Magic Vista and another Delver. Okay. So the preordain is quite good, but I'm not going to fight over that. I don't think I'm going to trade my young Pyromancer for the Delver. It's just going to get act as an enchantment until they have no blockers. Just have to hope that they don't find any interaction here. If they don't, well, I'm gonna make at least one more token and then get a force wheel for another one. Just try to pressure them with that. Another volcanic island. Not great, but it does mean I get the option to hardcast Force for Negation. I'm just gonna lightning bolt here. This gives them scries before the second flip. They force for negation with a stifle, so they do have to stifle. This means I just get the force for negation back. I want to take this opportunity. I don't think the Delvers are great here, but if they both flip, they definitely have a good opportunity to pressure this back. Now, Force of Will is that if they draw something good, they could definitely come back into it, but having a bunch of tokens next to Young Pyromancer versus only their one remaining Delver of Secrets, that's just good enough, and see the writing on the wall. So depending on their creature base, if they don't have anything that stabilizes well against Young Pyromancer, it's going to be very hard for them to come back. So in this matchup, even more than against normal, against Blue Red Delver like we had in match 4, they're gonna have to try and pressure our mana. So I think Cunning Wish is even worse here against their stifles and everything. I do like Flusterstorm against the stifle version a lot more than if they don't have it. I can pick my battles where I want to fetch and then make sure I have Flusterstorm open and then still out tap when I get past that point. So against Mountain Blue, I do like Electricity. I wish I kept in my board in the last round. Like a Braid. I would even consider Pyrokinesis here. So let's see, I don't like the Force for Negation. I don't like the Force Wheels. I like those even less here than against normal Delver. I do like the Flusterstorm here. I think I'm just gonna do it like this. Like if they get a very good mana denial game going, I'd really like to have the Pyrokinesis and the red cards to get cards out of my hand and trade them for theirs. I like that a lot more in this matchup than against regular Delver. Yeah, let's do it like this. So we have to remember we just have Flusterstorms and Dazes now. We can't go searching for forces with our cantrips post board. We do have a bunch more removal, but this matchup is just gonna hinge on who gets to use their mana. Which means that a one-lander isn't ideal here. This is a very strong hand though. The Krark isn't too good if you're tight on mana. I think I'm gonna mulligan this. I think any hand which has like 2 or 3 lands is just better than this in this matchup. We have so much cards that act like a Braid and Lightning Bolt that I think it's fine going down a card here. This matchup isn't about who has the most cards. This matchup is about who gets 4 presents and keeps it. Once again, fetch lands, which is kind of tough. One advantage is if they go land go, I can just run out a bunch of fetch lands, and since I don't have that much to do with this, I just keep that game state going for a while. I'm just gonna keep this and gonna get rid of one of the Field of Ruins, which have been showing up in pairs, by the way. They run 2 and they run together. So they run out the Delver. This means I'm just gonna fetch on my turn. Sadly, I don't have red fetch land, so I can't get a mountain. I would love to get a mountain here. It would make this game so much easier. And I'm just gonna lightning bolt. One important thing, I was wrong. They are not on Mountain Blue Delver. the game 1, how that game played out, seeing the Stifle, their 2 islands, and the Prismatic Fist. Really let me think that, but apparently they're not. They're just a more basic, heavy version of Blue-Red. I don't mind this turn 1, by the way. Whenever I try to kill their Delver Secrets and they protect with Daze, that means that I know for sure that I'm going to delay their Arcanist, whether they have it or not. I think this is an interesting turn. They didn't set up the Delvers to flip, so there's like a little bit less than a 50-50 chance that they're going to flip. And it would be very profitable for me if I can try to copy my Lightning Bolt a couple of times next turn. Is if I hit on that and hit 2 creatures, that's just so good for me. Also, then I still have the option to try to hit their Dreadhorde Arcanist if they do have it. So, combination of I really need to get a Dreadhorde Arcanist off the board if they have it, and this might not flip. I'd say make this an interesting choice, but my opponent scooped. I have no clue why. So that was a bit of a bummer this last round. I don't think I was in a great state, but my opponent probably had a good reason to do it like this. Okay, now I want to recap on the league for a second and look at the deck list. So this is the Blue-Red Flipped Delver. I was playing. Relic in there. So we went 4-1. I definitely could have won the one I lost. We started in game 1 in the first round against High Tide. Our High Tide opponent also easily could have won. They just fumbled in their execution, not by play mistakes, but that just misfires sometimes, and they didn't get there. So we won that 2-0. We then played against 4 Color Snow. We got a bit of lucky spots here and there. We didn't play optimally, but ended up outgrinding them with Dreadhorde Arcanist. And I believe a couple of Krark flips, which was pretty useful. Then against the lands, we just really screwed up against lands. I think we were slightly ahead in game 3 because of how we could manipulate all the pieces and get a surgical extraction on their wasteland, which means we could keep our carcass around for the 2020, everything like that. But we ran out of time, and it would have been a very close game either way. Now we lost 1-2, which is our loss. I think we made a lot of mistakes that round and could have played it better and won. Then we played the last round against Blue-Red Delver. Got a couple of lucky breaks here and there and just ended up ahead. I do think people were aggressively trading versus my Krark, which is good. It means some people are scared of it, so they're going to answer it, like Force Will it, Bolt it, gives more room for my other threats. And the last round as well versus Blue-Red Delver, but that was a lot less interesting of a round because my opponent, clearly some things weren't working for them. With regards to mana or card sequencing, I don't know, they scooped very early twice. I think in game 1 they were right to scoop, in game 2 it was very early. So looking at this deck list, the whole Cunning Wish plan never got together. We've never used an Archive Trap. Fields of Ruins felt terrible. Like I said earlier in this league already, I wanted to try this idea out of Krark and Cunning Wish, and I think that it's a very powerful combination, since I do think Krark is just good in Blue-Red Delver. Being able to just Cunning Wish for kill condition whenever your opponent fetches is very powerful, and the Cunning Wishes definitely did good things this league. And also in my previous leagues, the Pyrokinesis has been good before. We didn't get to use the price in the end, but it would have been a nice card against lands. But I don't think this this version of the deck is better than just playing Blue-Red. I do want to keep testing Krarks for a bit. I think they're good. I don't think you want 3 if you don't run the Cunning Wish plan. So what I would do moving forward is just keep 2 Krarks in the deck and just have these 12 creatures, and then add 1 more to them. Probably something like a Brazen Borrower, since I do think Brazen Borrower is just the best, next best creature. I'm still liking Young Pyromancers. I wasn't that high on them recently, but with people trying out cores, I still think it's great to go white versus them. I also like Young Pyromancer a lot versus Krark Delver, since it's typically pretty good against Oko. The white board really helps. It gets value as long as it's in play. We get 1 more bounce in here from that. Well, the Fields of Ruins were clearly worse than Wastelands, but I do think that Karka's pretty good at the moment. It gets better because of having a legendary creature in our own deck, and we do want to have a lot of lands available to cast our spells with. So what I would like to try is to keep this low Wasteland iteration, just to support the Krark a bit better, and keep the same counters. Just keep the 1 flush storm where I would normally have a spell pierce, and add in the 11 counter back in, a force from negation usually. This is 59. I typically run another Chain Lightning. I like the 6 removal spells, just very good in the mirror. I think the Chain Lightning and like the 11 counter are flex spots, and definitely the 2nd Young Pyromancer is something you can play around with if you want to test different cards. Probably gonna see what other cards I want to try in this deck. One that people have suggested, and I also want to try a bit more, is Wheel of Misfortune as an upgraded draw tree, the black draw tree that loses 3 life. This is like a way over the top version. It has a lot less applications, but can serve a similar role. Then we get to cut the archive traps. I think I like Pyrokinesis without anything else. I still do like this as Graveyard Hate. I have the Carcass already main board, which I see as part of the Graveyard Hate package. So there's like 4 Graveyard Hate against Reanimator and stuff. And I'd like to fit 1 more in. Though having 2 Flush Storms is also something I value in those matchups. I could take out the Electric Fury again. This is just worse than Blazing Volley. Because Blazing Volley is just cheaper with Dreaded Arcanus. It's easier to try a couple of times with Krark. I really like the interaction with D6 and Blazing Volley. So this would be like the basis of my sideboard, and then I would like to try 1 Wheel of Misfortune, and are we gonna add in another bounce spell? I'm gonna put my Neurot, which I usually have, back in because it's so great in some matchups. See what else do I want. I'm gonna go open my Blue-Red Delver list. So I was running an Arcane Lab, and yeah, so another piece of Graveyard Hate, and then the final, the 3rd Power Blast, which is something we really did miss. So just have it like that. Have another piece of Graveyard Hate, which could be anything. I really like Relic at the moment. I'd like to try more because I think it's very good in the snow matchup at the moment. It helps versus Euro, which is our biggest issue, but also if they board in Clotis, I think it's good. So I would like to try a 2nd one, but it's probably too clunky because it's just not good versus the other dedicated Graveyard deck. So probably if you want to go optimal, just having a Tormod Script or something here is probably better. And what was the last card we had in our normal sideboard? It was the Arcane Lab, which is where I have the wheel now. Oh yeah, we had the Carcass, of course. So I would fire this up again, I would probably add a Narset or the Arcane Lab. For those of you wondering, why do you have an Arcane Laboratory in your Delver deck? I think it's really good against blue-green show and tell. So if you expect a lot of that, I like Arcane Laboratory. There's also the new version of Narset Hull Breacher, which you can also throw into play of the show and tell. But this is what I would probably would be my next iteration of just playing a Krark version of Blue-Red Delver. I think this is pretty good as a decklist to move forward with. I don't think the whole Killing Wish plan was good enough. So that was my first league recording for you folks. We went 4-1. I think we could have won versus Lance. And the other games were, yeah, we could definitely lost a couple of them. We got some lucky shots here and there. But overall, I think in the last 2 rounds, we didn't make too many mistakes. I'm pretty comfortable in the Delver matchup. But versus Snow, I was being a bit sloppy here and there. And versus Lance, I definitely screwed up a couple of times. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my first league, and there's definitely more to come. If you have any suggestions of decks you'd like to see me play, maybe you'd like me to do a more of a in-depth explanation of a certain type of deck, or why do I build my Blue-Red Delver deck the way I do, just give me a comment, let me know what you would like, what you don't like. I can look into it. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.